Kape Technologies and Nord Security are the two largest corporate VPN owners in the world. Between them, they control ExpressVPN, CyberGhost, Private Internet Access, NordVPN, and Surfshark. Both have trust problems. The problems are not the same kind. Kape's problem is historical. The company began as CrossRider, an adware distribution platform that security companies catalogued as a threat category. The rebrand in 2018 changed the name. It did not change what the company had done. Nord Security's problem is conduct. A privacy company that chose not to tell its customers about a server breach for 19 months. Not before the company was a privacy brand, during it. In 2025, both companies face class action lawsuits. Kape for customer treatment, Nord for deceptive auto-renewal on two separate brands. Both have audited no-logs records. The question in this comparison is not which company has better products. It is which kind of trust failure is more acceptable for the person choosing between them. CrossRider was founded in 2011 in Tel Aviv. Teddy Sagi acquired control in 2012. The platform distributed browser extensions that injected advertisements, redirected searches, and altered browser settings without full user consent. Security companies including Malwarebytes catalogued CrossRider as an adware family and continued maintaining the detection category years after the company rebranded. In March 2018, the company renamed itself Kape Technologies. Same controlling shareholder, same team, new name. Between 2017 and 2021, Kape acquired CyberGhost, ZenMate, Private Internet Access for $95.5 million, VPN Mentor and WizCase, and ExpressVPN for $936 million. Kape was then taken private by Teddy Sagi's Unique Mind vehicle and delisted from the London AIM exchange. NordVPN was founded in 2012 in Vilnius, Lithuania, by Tomas Okmanas and Eimantas Sabaliauskas. Nord Security's own materials describe the origin as a passion project between childhood friends. The founding story is the cleanest in the series. Two founders building a VPN product, growing it into a globally recognized brand over a decade, raising their first external capital in 2022 after 10 years of bootstrapping. Founders retain majority control. Warburg Pincus and other investors collectively hold less than 10% of the company. The ownership structures are directly opposite and represent the most significant governance distinction between the two companies for users who care about accountability rather than only technical product claims. Kape, a private company fully controlled by a single billionaire with an adware background, with no public reporting obligations since the AIM delisting. Nord Security, founder controlled with minority institutional investors, no single controlling shareholder, operating under Lithuanian and EU jurisdiction with GDPR constraints that apply to actual data handling obligations. Both companies have a structural concern that is not evidence of wrongdoing, but represents a conflict of interest in the ownership model. Kape's structural concern is the review site ownership. VPN Mentor and WizCase are among the highest traffic VPN review sites in the world. Both are owned by Kape, both disclose this on their home pages. Neither discloses it consistently within individual reviews of ExpressVPN, CyberGhost, or Private Internet Access. A user researching whether a Kape-owned VPN is trustworthy may encounter Kape-owned review sites giving positive recommendations, with the ownership relationship not visible in the review itself. Nord Security's structural concern is the Tesonet ecosystem. Tesonet, the Lithuanian startup builder behind NordVPN's early development, also has portfolio connections to Honeygain, which pays users to share bandwidth as residential proxies, and Oxylabs, which sells those proxy networks commercially to businesses for web scraping and competitive intelligence. There is no evidence NordVPN uses its customers' connections as proxies. The concern is structural. The same corporate ecosystem contains a privacy-first VPN and businesses that commoditize other people's internet connections for profit. These represent directly conflicting values under one roof. Both structural concerns share the same pattern. No proven wrongdoing, a conflict of interest that exists by the structure of the ownership, and partial or unclear disclosure to users who are actively researching the products. The difference is in what kind of behavior the conflict incentivizes. Kape's review site conflict incentivizes positive coverage of its own products in channels users expect to be independent. Nord's Ethernet proximity sits adjacent to the exact activity a VPN is supposed to prevent: third parties using your internet connection without your full knowledge or meaningful consent. The product comparison between the two companies' flagship brands runs in opposite directions depending on the metric. On audit depth, Nord Security leads. 6 independent no-logs audits by Deloitte Lithuania over 7 years at roughly annual cadence, the most sustained external verification program in the consumer VPN market. Kape's brands have been audited, but no single brand approaches NordVPN's audit frequency or the consistency of the auditing relationship with a single firm over multiple years. On court-tested evidence, private internet access leads the entire series. 2 FBI subpoenas, no logs produced on either occasion. This is not a controlled audit engagement. It is adversarial legal pressure, and PIA's no logs claim survived it twice. NordVPN has never been subpoenaed in a comparable federal proceeding. On server coverage, NordVPN's network of over 6,400 servers across 111 countries is among the largest in the consumer VPN market. Kape's portfolio covers similar territory across multiple brands, with ExpressVPN's server network and PIA's infrastructure, both individually large, though neither brand's network is published with the same level of transparency as NordVPN's current specifications. On transparency, Nord Security, as a founder-controlled company with minority institutional investors in an EU jurisdiction, has more accountability structures than Kape operating as a private company under a single controlling shareholder with no public reporting requirements. On product portfolio breadth, Kape holds more VPN brands, but Nord Security has expanded into a broader privacy and security ecosystem with NordPass, NordLayer, NordLocker, and Incogni alongside the VPN products. Surfshark's unlimited device model also competes directly with lower-cost VPN alternatives at a price tier Kape does not explicitly target. The bundled Nord Security subscription tiers, combining multiple tools under a single subscription, position it as a privacy ecosystem competitor rather than purely a VPN vendor. Kape's portfolio serves more VPN-specific use cases across more premium and mid-range brands. For users whose primary concern is the ownership origin, the choice is clear. Kape Technologies was an adware company. Nord Security was founded as a privacy company. The founding histories are not comparable. For users who believe that a company can truly change what it is through the products it builds and the record it creates, Kape's PIA holds the most court-tested no-logs evidence in the industry. For users who believe that structural incentives matter as much as historical origin, Kape's review site ownership is the clearest conflict of interest in the entire VPN market. For users whose primary concern is how a privacy company behaves when it has information it would prefer not to share, the Nord Security disclosure gap is the most specific documented example in this series. 19 months is not a rounding error or a communications lag. It is a choice. For users who weight the audit record heavily, NordVPN's 6 Deloitte audits are the strongest technical verification program among all the companies in this series. The governance structure difference should not be minimized when making this comparison. Kape is a private company with no public accountability structure, fully controlled by a single billionaire, with no public reporting obligations since the AIM delisting. Nord Security is founder-controlled with minority institutional investors, subject to GDPR in the EU, with meaningful accountability structures that Kape does not have. For users whose threat model specifically includes the question of who could instruct the VPN provider to change its behavior without disclosure, these structures are not equivalent, and that difference should be part of the decision. Both companies face active litigation in 2025. Neither is recommended without qualification by the privacy research community. Both are used by millions of people who find them adequate for everyday VPN use cases. Kape is the history problem. Nord is the mainstream trust compromise. Between them, they cover most of what is wrong with corporate VPN ownership.